All right, you guys. Dana Snyder is here, and we are going to dig into monthly giving. And I told her in the green room, I have more questions than we have time. So this is going to be a juicy episode. Now, Dana is the author of the Monthly Giving Mastermind book, and I knew she had to come on with this book coming out. So welcome and set the stage for us a little bit about the launch of this book, the why, and the work you do.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's such a wild thing to be like author. And now that it's been a couple months, it's like it's very surreal that that's even a thing. So I have been focused on the monthly giving space for the past few years. And it all really started as a genesis of me being a monthly donor. And I realized I love this experience. I love the impact that I feel. I always felt like I could never feel like or be a philanthropist if I wasn't donating millions or thousands of dollars. And I felt like as a one-time donor, I was like, what's my one-time gift of 25 bucks going to do? What's my one-time gift of $50 going to do? But collectively with a community, my $25 gift every month can make a significant impact. And so I just started to really lean into that. And so my background is in marketing and digital marketing from the New York City world, and I worked for nonprofits straight out of college. And so I understood all of the challenges and the resources and the bandwidth and the needs from working for a nonprofit. And then I was able to really get all of this kind of like insider access that a lot of organizations don't, working for some big New York companies
Mm-hmm.
and clients. And so in 2017, I just jumped ship from corporate world, and I was like, I just want to take all the learnings that I've gotten and the experiences and bring them back to the for good sector, for the nonprofit sector, and what we do. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years, and then more recently in the monthly giving space.
Amazing. So I collectively probably have a ridiculous amount of subscriptions happening in
Yeah.
my world, whether it's Netflix or Spotify or all of the different apps and things. I've had a subscription for like razors for years, and it's
Yeah.
like the best, right? Like we are now a subscription economy. But what does it look like to adapt that for monthly giving? And like, how is it different, or is it different for nonprofits?
Yeah, I love this question and diving into this because it's a whole chapter in the book where I
Mm-hmm.
think it's helpful to understand the history and the context of the subscription economy. And it's actually been around for a really long time. The term was technically coined like over 15 years ago
Mm-hmm.
by this guy, Tien, and Zora is the company he worked for. And it was all about talking about we don't necessarily want ownership of things anymore. We want customization of things. We want things quickly. And so he coined it back when it was more so thinking about one of the first things that turned subscription was SaaS products. So
Yeah.
if you think back to like Adobe, for instance,
Mhm.
Adobe was a massive, expensive product to have, usually on an
Yep.
annual license basis. That made it really hard for the majority of consumers to have.
Mhm.
And then they were an example, Salesforce is an example of these companies that turned into more of the monthly or maybe even annual, but broken down subscriptions.
Yep.
And that was kind of the start. And then it turned into, I remember living in New York City and in like 2013, 2014, when Birchbox came out and everyone had their
Mhm.
makeup beauty box and it was this huge thing. Then you had your food subscriptions with HelloFresh, right? So what happened like in the past decade is not only the popularity of all of these consumer goods, services, items that we purchase, but also in our world, the technology and the tools that power people to be able to donate realized this shift in consumer giving and then changed the donation tools to empower monthly giving and recurring giving. That wasn't common before. I think what was more common in our space when you said recurring was like sponsor a child,
Yeah.
like sponsor, but not to the extent of today, how it's building monthly giving programs. And um, even Charity Water is mentioned in the book, and we know them, of course, with huge the spring, but
Yep.
they even said like they didn't start their monthly giving program until I think it was like 7 or 8 years in. Didn't realize the opportunity behind it. Whereas now it's definitely more top of mind. So I think it's been a cultural shift,
Mhm.
but for nonprofits to actually integrate it, we've had to wait for our technology to also
Yep.
learn that this is something that's important and provide the tools for us to do.
And now that's here. Now there are a number of fundraising tools that I feel like make it as frictionless as possible. But when we think about this idea of like, okay, the for profits are doing it, we also have like the average person has a subscription or 20, right?
Yeah.
Kind of rocking and rolling in the background that they forgot about. How is it different? Like, can a nonprofit go, cool, we're just going to do this. We're going to add this. We're going to have the right tool. And then what? Like, how is it different for a nonprofit to have a monthly recurring donor? How are they? I guess what I'm saying is I'm imagining like a Spotify. Spotify is like, become a premium subscriber. You don't get ads. And they
Yes.
deliver that to me every single month. But
Yes.
they're not like showing me social proof. I mean, they're kind of surprising and delighting me at the end of the year with my year-end wrapped.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I say it, that's kind of fun. And my day list. So hang on. Wait, they are doing this. You see what I'm asking though, Dana, right?
Yeah,
Like, how do we adapt this for nonprofits?
Totally. So I think there's a couple different factors. One, it creates this whole segment of like charitable living. And as a month, if you are a monthly donor, it's usually easier on your wallet to donate in that way because it's usually a lower amount. And so some people want to give a bigger gift, but they just can't do like $500 at one time, said me usually. And so I want to break that out over a year. It makes it's silly, but it's easy. It's practical. Like it is a set it and forget it. And I think something that nonprofits have sometimes said to me is, should we remind them that they're giving monthly? And I'm like, yes, like definitely communicate that impact because you want them to feel what they're doing. That excitement, they had excitement when they hit that button and gave. It wasn't a painful, am I going to have regret of this button? No, it was excitement. And so you want to continue that every single month. The things that are special, the book is based upon a framework of 5 different steps. And kind of what you just talked about with Spotify is sharing constant joy and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so with recurring programs, there are so many creative ways that you can do that through the first 12 months and beyond. Because what's also super cool is the average recurring donor stays on for 5, 6, 7+ years based on like a Neon One study, which is insane and amazing. And I mean, I'm proof of that. I'm over 3 years into one of the organizations that I support. So what's similar is the transaction of giving with a credit card usually. What's different, I think, is the purpose that you feel and the identity behind what you're supporting.
Okay. I love that. So let's move into like their experience. They sign up, they become a monthly donor. Typically, I mean, best case, I'll describe best case scenario. Best case scenario, they get like a really warm welcome within the first 30 days. Okay. So they've got like maybe a handwritten note, they get a good email sequence, like all the things we like to see. Okay. But then what? I feel like people get a little overwhelmed where they're like, wait, am I supposed to send them like a t-shirt and a backpack? Am I supposed to give them swag? Do I have to create a whole new email plan for them? What about a newsletter? Did they get it? What does the next, like, not only 12 months, but what is the long term, like, to get that sweet spot of that retention, 7, 8 years even?
Yeah.
And battle with the nonprofit who's like, I don't have time for all of this. Like, what do we do? What's scalable?
Yeah, you definitely want to put in automations where you can. So within the first month, I love, and you're my email queen. I usually recommend, I call it like a 4.5 email that goes, 4.5 emails go out in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
And it wraps with like a happy 1 month anniversary email. So they feel celebrated, they feel seen. And then it's a transition into, this is what you can expect from us moving on. What happens in months 2 through 12 and beyond is different for every organization. And the bandwidth and, like you said, the resources that you have. At a minimum, what I like to see is, yes, this group should absolutely be segmented away from your everybody else in your email list. They should receive a separate monthly email updating them on what's happening, because I always like to say every single month on their bank statement, they're going to see a transaction from your organization. And we always wonder, either you hope they're not saying, who is that? What is that transaction? Because that's not good. you want them to be like, oh yeah, that's right, I got that email the other day, let me like follow up on
Yep.
that. So you want it to correlate with the timing of knowing every single month there's a gift taking place. So sending that email. Then I have an organization, Roots Ethiopia, that's featured in the book, where quarterly she does a video and she sends it out to everybody and lets them know what's going on.
Cool.
um, the Hope booth that I support nearly every single month, which this is like not as sustainable as they grow, but they've sent handwritten thank you notes every single month telling me how much they appreciate me as a supporter. You can automate that through tools like Letter Labs or Handwritten,
Mm-hmm.
where they send out, it looks like handwritten, it's actual pen. And you
Mm-hmm.
can automate that through tools like Zapier. On the swag comment, yes and no. It depends on if it's one of those things where, like I know the Tim Tebow Foundation, if you give a gift of $40 a month or more, and we changed it actually. They used to send it out right away, and now it's going out on month 3.
I like that.
So it's like wait a little bit, get into the program, and then it's like you kind of forget. So it's like a surprise. Oh yeah, like my shirt's coming.
Mm.
Um, so it depends on if you are wanting to send it as a sign up like bonus,
Yep.
or if it is truly going to be a surprise and delight, which happened to me with December, who I support monthly. They sent me one of those like crossbody bags after I was a
Nice.
donor for about a year. And they did a partnership with a company. You can have all different types of snail mails. You can ask for their birthday, so you can send those notes. You can invite them to special events that you're having if you're like a hyper local. There are so you can have a like founder fireside chat and invite your monthly donors in. You can provide community perks if you're partnering with corporate partners, give them discounts. Like there's literally the sky is the limit with brainstorming with
Yep.
this group, but you always want to think about what's important to them, what are their values, what is actually going to prove like impactful for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned a bunch of really amazing options. And I think this is the piece where people will be like, wait, I should do that. I should do that. And it's like, what actually is in line with your organization? What do they want? And I will say I worked with a large organization here in Atlanta, and they changed my mind about swag, because I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to that stuff. But they were like, Christina, people love wearing our t-shirts around town. It's just like, and that's that identity piece of like, I'm
Yes.
someone who does stuff like this, right? So you kind of
Yes.
want to know, like, and then the other piece that you mentioned was like, is it a bonus for signing up? So I want to move a little bit into the marketing of monthly giving programs, because a lot of people will come to me and they're like, no, we have it. And I think it's Tim from New On One that's like, if you have a tab that says give monthly, that is not a monthly giving program.
Yeah.
So how is that different? And what does it look like to effectively launch or grow a giving program? Besides, like, we need this book. The book
Yeah.
is our manual.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Give us kind of broad strokes.
Yes. Okay. So to tie a bow on real quick about what you were just talking about with the
Yeah.
sending out swag and communicating with your donors, some people don't want any of it. I think a really unique opportunity with recurring giving is to ask them, and they will actually give you more information because they are invested in the long term. One like trick for this is on your thank you page after somebody gives, is to have them either click through to a simple form that says like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you prefer to be communicated? SMS, email, like whatever
Mm-hmm.
your options are, snail mail, and let people give you that feedback. Ask them for their birthday in that post form. That can be also included in your thank you email series so that you can gather that information, have it in your CRM, and then you are personalizing the thank you experience to that person. On the flip side, when it comes to marketing, yes, I love that you stated this. It is not a monthly giving program just to have a switch over tab. However, it is definitely crucial to have that on your donation forms. Do not leave
Correct.
that out for people to be able to upgrade their gift. To have a program, the first step in the framework is create the product. And I truly believe a monthly giving program is a product. And I say this because I'm going to show you this. Some of you will see this is a Spindrift sparkling water that I'm drinking right now. It has a flavor. It is called something. There is a design. There is language all over it. Real fruit tastes better. Like people came up with this stuff, right? So this is a product. It has a budget. It has branding. It has a name. There's a team behind making this happen. The same thing needs to be possible for your monthly giving program. And that is huge. I think community or monthly giving programs are all about community and bringing people together. And if there's not a brand, if there's not a name to rally behind, then it just becomes, it feels more transactional.
Yep.
Then I know like Floyd Jones, who we both love,
Yeah.
really talks about like transformative gifts.
Yes.
And I think that's what having a product, having a program does. From the business side, you should also think about it as a product because it's a new revenue stream. It
Mm-hmm.
is. It's a consistent, predictable revenue stream. It should have a budget. When it gets to the size, it should have a team member or at least someone who's partly dedicated to it, which might seem like super scary. Something that I talk about a lot in the book is actually change management and taking risks, and how we are so used to seeing like major gifts officer. It's very rare to see like a sustainer role.
Yeah.
But
Oh my
how
gosh, I love that.
beautiful would that be, right? If
Yeah.
like their job is just to constantly express gratitude and be working solely on this program that is going to give you sustainable revenue. So the marketing side, like breaking that down really simply, is I think it should have a name. It should have its
Okay.
own landing page.
So, meaning, I'm just going to lay this down. Like, I love that you said that. Don't call it monthly giving program. Don't call it monthly supporters. Call
Right.
it something. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And there's a whole like naming convention exercise in here that I break
Love it.
down that I do with my mastermind members, where it's a list of questions. And I actually have like little post-it notes in there that you can write in to do your own brainstorming. So it's very interactive. But having a name, like the Hope Booth, I'm part of the movement. Chamber of Mothers. Oh my gosh, I'm part of the matriarchy. Like
Nice.
the other cool thing about a name, and they talk about this, it either hardcore attracts who you want and it repels who you don't want when you have a really strong name.
That's
And so
right.
they thought about that with the matriarchy. They're like, some people might not like this. And they're like, but we don't want those people.
That's the point, right?
That's
You
the
want
point.
that
Right.
identity. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. Of like, what would your monthly donors be psyched to be known as?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. All right.
So
Dedicated
name,
page, name.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And so those are the two main things to have. And then having at the top, like your big audacious vision headline that together that community
Yes.
is helping to do blank.
So, okay. This is like such a wonderful exercise for so many people to go through. I'm wondering how often, or is it rocking and rolling in the background after that initial launch? How often are you actively campaigning, running online campaigns or in person even, for members to join, for recurring donors to sign
All
up?
the
All
time.
the time. I love her.
Okay, this
Okay.
is one thing that I like cannot stand. So this has happened lots of times. They're like, but Dana, I sent out an email. Um, N email? One, maybe two? No, you all the time. Like this is people wonder why big organizations are successful with it. If you go on, you make it prominent everywhere. If you go on St. Jude's website,
Mhm.
not only is it pre-selected for monthly, it also has like a big blog article that you can link. It says 5 reasons to give monthly, and it like clicks through to a blog, and then on that page, sure enough, there's the ability to donate monthly. Like it is everywhere. It's talked about everywhere. It's a recurring first ask nowadays. I actually have one organization right now that's in my mastermind, which actually at this time will have launched, and they said we actually don't want a donate page. We just want it to go right to our monthly giving
Oh, wow.
page.
All right.
And I was like, yes. So like it's catching. So it is so, so important that you talk about it in everything you do. If you're on a podcast, you are leading people to your monthly giving program. If you are on stages, I think something that's also interesting is lots of my previous members, we do reunion calls every quarter, and they'll share they have an upcoming event.
Mhm.
And I'll ask, okay, how are you talking about your monthly giving program? And they'll be like, oh, well, it's going to be one of the asks. I'm like, no, it should be the ask. It should be the header ask.
Mm.
And
And do you
so we
get
bring,
resistance to that?
yes. But we talk about ways to, this is one example. I mentioned to an organization where I said, instead of you doing the asking, you now have, I was like, will some of your existing monthly donors be there? And she goes, yes. Great. They're your spokespeople.
That's right.
Tell them in advance, do like a little mini committee meeting that each of you, it's like a gamify it. If you can bring on 5 new monthly donors, like as you walk around and you're talking to people and you're mingling, we're going to have X celebration or X swag or X thing. So have them go out and do it for you and like work the room, because it's way more powerful when a peer or a
Oh my
friend can
gosh,
say
it's the
it.
best. That endorsement. So everybody listening will know this is a twist on like the street team that I teach. So it's like get your street teamers at that
Yes.
event. They are your ambassadors. It's so much better than one
Yes.
person just being like join, 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 sign up,
Yes.
sign up.
Yes.
So you've mentioned a couple of organizations who are doing it right, who are, it sounds like, really putting that foot forward. And it also sounds like you've had some really great experiences yourself as a monthly donor. So let's kind of shout
And bad
out.
ones.
Okay, I was just about to say, call out like high level. Here's what I'm seeing for the ones that are really having these successful programs. And then the other ones where you're like, please don't, maybe best practices of don't do, right?
Yeah.
And I also have had, I think I told this story on the podcast already, but I was a monthly donor for 3-4 years with an organization and ended up discontinuing, and immediately just kept getting appeal after appeal after appeal. And it was very hard to cancel my subscription. And so that was I was like, oh, this is I'm a great case study in what not to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
So on that note, something that you should not do that
Yeah.
for what your experience was. What you should do, and I love, there's an organization in the book, Daily Giving,
Okay.
and they say when somebody leaves, they have 16,000 plus recurring donors. When someone leaves their program, they call them surfers. And they say they're just riding the wave. We hope they're going to come back. If they leave the wave, that's okay. And so they're like, that's okay. We want to thank them. So when you left, what I should have happened is you should have received an email that said, Christina, we're so sorry to see you go. Would you like to, there's an offer, would you like to lower your gift?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you canceled? Like, get some feedback. If not, hope to still see you later on or at one of our events or
Yep.
whatever, right? But there's an acknowledgement that happened, not just continuous appeals. And then make sure to not have you on those other lists.
Yeah, I think what ended up happening is this was a very large organization. I think they just lumped me back in general communications bucket, if that makes sense. So it's
Ooh,
like they took me
yeah.
from where I was and they were like, got it, she's offboarded from this. And they just put me in the like, just the general. And so it was like, I just got the general stuff. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
Okay, so best practices on some of the ones you've shouted out that are doing it well is don't hide it. So don't bury this,
Yes.
front and center. What else?
I think constant communication. So having at the bare minimum, like a monthly email that goes out. However, the ones that have kind of more of an omni-channel presence, because sometimes people don't open emails. So watch your email open rates. If they're not high, then people aren't receiving those. They're not seeing the impact. So is there another touch point that you can have with them, whether that be direct mail, whether that be SMS, whether that be social advertising, like to make sure that you can reach those people so that they do see the impact that they're making if they're not receiving those emails. Or a phone call also, old school. So those are the ones that I think are doing a great job, are the ones that just find you where you are and share the message of what's happening. One organization, I love the Tim Tebow Foundation. I was just working with them a few months ago on their retention plan. And something we set up was a strategic SMS strategy. At certain points about what they're going to be sharing every single month, and then also like celebratory moments. Those are also the ones that I think are doing a great job, is outside of just the impact, acknowledging happy 6-month anniversary. Oh my gosh, you've been a supporter for a year. Like those touch points are really nice and they feel personalized. So it takes a beat away just from what's happening. But put some attention back on the donor. Some practices that don't work great is literally the opposite, is not hearing anything.
Yeah.
Or I hate it when I'm called friend and I know you have my first name. That just like drives me crazy. Or when I get sent messages to join the monthly giving program and I've already joined the monthly giving program and I haven't been segmented. And I'm like, I already am in here. So those are the things that maybe irk me more because I'm on the tech side, but I think
I think that would join the monthly giving program for which you're already in. That's a no good. I think that would irk everybody. But you've mentioned segmenting a couple times, and I want to talk about segmenting from a different lens, which is Okay, they joined. They're monthly sustainers. But do I tell them about our Giving Tuesday fundraiser? Do I ask them
Hmm.
for year end? There's always that friction, that pain point from organizations like, well, they're already giving. So do I segment them out of other messaging for fundraising?
No, so you do those things with a different context.
Okay.
So what I would say is they receive a different message. So for Giving Tuesday, maybe instead of asking them to give on Giving Tuesday, you're asking them to share something on social to invite their friends to join X program with you, because that's what you're doing, right?
Love
Maybe
it.
for the year end campaign, it's instead of a one time gift, you're saying, will you increase your monthly gift by 20%, right? Which can be a couple dollars. So it's just different. So
Yep.
yes to all of it. It's like a yes and answer.
Okay, amazing. And I'm going to jump back because we mentioned Facebook ads a bit. And because that's your zone, like that is your zone of expertise, I want to talk about this idea of can you run? Well, I'll back into it. This idea of like, are the prospects who are likely to join this program going to be your warmest, most engaged people? So, meaning they're already in your world, they already give, they're already on your email list, maybe they're a social follower, maybe they've never given, but they're hanging out.
Yeah.
Or and I bet that's a yes, but also like, can you actually run cold ads and have it convert to become monthly donors? Or, and I know for some people this is a little more high level, but like more advanced, or does it have to be like to a lead magnet and then you got to nurture them for a while and then you ask? Like,
No,
does
you
this
can
work?
go totally cold.
Okay, how? Like, why does that work? Give us some like, get us excited. Because I don't think enough organizations are using ads at
Yeah.
all. And so I
Yeah.
think there's so much opportunity out there, but paint the picture.
It requires, here's the thing, it requires testing. And testing can be scary because testing requires a budget. However, the great thing with Facebook is you always get back data. It's not going out into the abyss and you have no idea what image worked, you don't know what copy worked. There is data on everything that can help you. So, a case study that I share in the book is, and I just talked about them, is the Tim Tebow Foundation.
Yep.
So, they hadn't used ads either. And then last year, in the summer, Kyle, who's amazing on their team, started tinkering with ads, spending a couple $100s, started seeing success, actually using a video from 2020. So talk about you can definitely repurpose your content,
Yep.
and started to see what was working. They had about 6,500 recurring donors at the time in less than a year from purely Facebook ads. Take a guess at how many donors.
I'm so excited. Tell me. So they were at 6,500. Did they double it?
20,000,
Oh
more
my
than
God.
double. 20,000. They spent, now this is, they ended up
Yeah.
spending a
What's the
big,
investment? Yeah.
they ended up spending a big budget. They had spent $1 million, but they got a 4.5 times return on that investment. So it went from, right, a couple $100. You're just testing. But then you start to see, oh my gosh, it's working. Oh my gosh, it's working. Let's just
So it's like
slowly
every dollar
investing.
they put in, they got $4 back. Yes?
Right. And it's a recurring donation,
Right.
right? Which is, so, and it was directly pushing to a recurring first gift.
I'm really glad that we are talking about this example because that takes a lot of calculated risk, a lot of guts to put. Now it was incremental,
Right.
but to make that investment in ads, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not an investment that most nonprofits are used to going, yeah, go for it. Here's $1,000 a month.
But we
Here's
always say, like,
$5,000 a month.
the thing I hear
Yep.
the most is we're the best kept secret. And you know what's interesting? Audience Audiences on Facebook has changed so much. There's now like a setting in there. It's called Advantage Plus, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Meta has beyond data on us. It's just fact. And
Mm-hmm.
so it starts to pay attention to who's engaging, who's clicking through, because the ad, not to get too like nerdy in it, but you're asking for a conversion in this. You're asking for a quote unquote sale according to
Yep.
Meta. So it is wanting to find people who are going to take that action that you are requesting, that you've
Yep.
selected. So they want to find other people who are engaging, who will make a transaction, and then it just starts to like spread.
Yep.
And so it obviously wants the ads to do well because then you're going to spend more money on the platform. Like, it doesn't want your ads to fail. And so to not be the best kept secret, this is a low cost way to do it. I mean, you might say like $1 million is a lot, but then if you get 4.5
Yeah.
times, like, then it's not.
And this is always the forward thinking, the more modern lens that I see the organizations who are scaling up like this,
Yeah.
who aren't anyone's secret anymore. They're willing to go, all right, let's try this over here. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like Meta knows not to serve that ad to your Aunt Cindy who just clicks but never buys, and knows to show
Yeah.
that ad to somebody who actually will convert and take out their wallet or use Apple Pay or whatever. And so, yeah, that's a fun way to think about, okay, for an organization maybe that's like, listen, we're rocking and rolling, our monthly giving program has a name, we're kind of at an
Yeah.
intermediate level, right? But I think we've kind of hit that ceiling with our current audience. This could be a more advanced technique too. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I love testing it out. You test out videos, static image posts, like reels. You can test all the different types of content to see what's actually going to move people to take action. And there's a great free tool called Ads Library
I love it.
that you can always search and get ideas of what
Yep.
other, literally go to like or Facebook Ads Library, and you can search US, any organization. You could put Nike in there if you wanted to,
That's
but
right.
you can search Charity Water, whoever, Tim Tebow Foundation, and you can see
Yep.
all of the active ads that are running to get you
And
inspired.
not only does it get you inspired, but I like that, like, show your board member, show your ED, show somebody who's like, we're not doing this, and be like, but you keep talking about Charity Water. And I just want to show you
Mhm.
that they have currently 42 ads running. That's a
Yeah.
lot, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So that could be another way.
To
Or
grow, you have to remain top of mind. Like, that is everything. And I think
yeah,
you have to be willing to invest in marketing to be able to grow these missions. Um, or else why are you doing what you're doing? And I think for anybody that says, I don't want my dollars going towards marketing, then it's like, then you don't want anyone to know about what you're doing. That seems backwards.
I've never believed more that marketing and fundraising are
Yeah.
completely intertwined. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything about the book, about monthly giving, that you want to share that we didn't go over?
Gosh, I just say if you don't have a program yet, start.
Yeah.
Start now. The book is your like $20 yes. There is actually a whole section in there right at the beginning that talks about like foundational truths to get started. And so if there is a little bit of risk adversity at your organization, whether you're struggling with that or leadership is struggling with that, I give some tips in there and actually scenarios to like work through with different like data
Nice.
points, because I understand that's a thing. So I would say just pick it up and give it a shot. Start the foreword is written from an organization that just started working on her monthly giving program that I give to. So it's meant literally for peers to peers to learn together, and that's why it's called Mastermind. Is that's the whole point of a mastermind, is for us to be in community together, lifting each other up, sharing ideas, brainstorming. So I am forever grateful. There's like 15 organizations that I interviewed and shared their stories and their challenges and their experiences. And it's like real life stuff, from all different sizes. It's not the big players.
Yeah.
So, not all big players, there are a few, but I wanted everyone to feel seen in it.
Yeah. This isn't something that has a barrier to entry. You
Right.
just can start. Like, so as long as you have a fundraising tool outside of like a PayPal, let's go, right? Something that has some automation in the background.
Yes.
This isn't something that you can actually get away with saying, oh, we don't have the budget right now. Like,
Correct.
you get to carve out space. Thank you so much. We ask every guest on the podcast to share one thought that they like to think on purpose. So this can be a mantra, an affirmation, just something that guides them forward
Yeah.
in this work or in this life. Would you share yours with our listeners?
Oh man, the mantra, I think right now, the one that's like based on the mission of what I'm trying to do is for everyone to feel and be able to be a philanthropist, and whatever that looks like to them. So I think that would be it, like simply
Everyone can be a
everyone.
philanthropist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's end with that idea of just like, what if you did treat your $25 a month monthly donor like you did your $25,000 a year?
Yeah.
Like, imagine that and think about how many people they would talk to and lift up and endorse and advocate and tell their friends about your organizations because they saw that this wasn't transactional, that they were a part of something. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
It's a
Thank you.
beautiful ripple effect.
All right, where can people come hang out with you? And we are definitely going to link to your book in the notes, but where do you like to hang out the most online?
LinkedIn for sure. You can just find me, Dana Snyder, on LinkedIn. If you prefer a more colorful channel. I'm on Instagram. Positive Equation with one E. And then the book, yeah, is positiveequation.com/book.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Christina.
That was great.